Welcome into OutKick, the show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Wednesdays wherever you may be across this great country. Go vote, go vote, go vote. It is voting time. It is winning time. I'm going to give you the latest there. I'm going to talk about the World Series where the Yankees fought back, and now it is a 3-1 deficit as we get ready for Game 5 tonight. To see whether or not the Yankees can send this series back to L.A. or not. Eric Adams, speaking of New York City, speaking sense in a time where almost everyone is speaking insanity. I've got the latest early voting numbers for all of you and why things are looking good for Trump. And, of course, Joe Biden steps all over himself and calls Trump supporters garbage in an interview with Vote Latino on a Zoom call while Kamala Harris is speaking at the Ellipse. I'm going to dive into all of that, but right off the top, let me give you the absolute latest numbers if you are out there right now and you're curious and you're like, okay, what is actually going on? North Carolina, Republicans have, and this is early voting data. There are a lot of polls out there. I'm less interested in the polls at this point because over 50 million people have already voted. I'm way more interested in what people are doing on the ground than trying to predict what they're going to do on the ground. In other words, who's showing up, Republicans, independents, Democrats, what is the data actually telling us? North Carolina, huge advantage relative to 2020. Republicans right now, as I am speaking to you, latest data, have a 42,000 vote lead. Back in 2020, this is in early voting and mail voting, back in 2020, Democrats had a 301,000 vote lead at this point in time. Democrats ended up losing North Carolina by about 70,000 votes in 2020. Trump has won it in 2016. He's won it in 2020. Again, a 42,000 voter lead right now for Republicans. Keep voting, keep voting. Arizona, Republicans now have a 129,000 lead in early voting. At this point, in 2020, Democrats had a substantial lead. Republicans have a substantial lead right now. In Nevada, right now, Republicans have a 42,000 vote lead. That's about a 5 percentage point lead. Last election cycle for president, Republicans had a 47,000 vote deficit. So that is essentially a flip. In Georgia, the numbers are looking very good. In Pennsylvania, absentee ballot requests are down in a massive way, and things are all looking good. Why do I share all of this data again? Because I would rather be looking at the actual numbers than trying to project what the polls at this point mean or don't mean. And by the way, almost all the polls are showing that it's going to be a very close race. But I would rather go in and look at the actual numbers on the ground and see how performance is going. Let me give you the latest in Florida. Trump has opened up, Republicans, but probably Trump, has opened up about a 12% lead in the state of Florida. That is roughly a 16-point swing from 2020. At this point in time in Florida, Democrats were up about 4%. Right now, Republicans are up 12%, and Trump is looking really good as people continue to vote to win Florida by double digits. He won Florida by 3 points in 2020, so this is going to be a seismic swing in the direction of Donald Trump. And I've talked about this, but I think it's significant. Miami-Dade County in particular, Hillary Clinton won Miami-Dade by 30 points in 2016. In 2020, Joe Biden won it by 7 points. Right now, Republican ballots are leading by 5 points. So think about this. In the space of 8 years, Democrats have gone from plus 30 in Miami-Dade, that is South Florida, the Miami-Dade County, to now being in a position where Republicans are plus 5. That's a 35-point swing based on early voting right now in the space of just 8 years. I think it's emblematic of how Hispanic voters in particular have moved in the direction of Donald Trump in a massive way. And we've seen that also down on the border in Texas. But again, these are live, real, early voting numbers. I have voted early in Tennessee, where, by the way, it looks like Republicans are going to win by around 30 points. So I'm in a deep red state. I've already voted early. I encourage all of you to go vote early. Some of you say, why? I keep pointing this out. If you vote early, they take you off of the voter contact file. You stop getting as many text messages. You stop getting emails. You stop getting phone calls. People stop knocking on your door, in theory, if the voter data is accurate, and they can go try to track down people who are less likely to vote. All right, so some of you will say, okay, Clay, what does this data say? Like, what's the big takeaway? What would your concern be? My concern would be that Republicans don't get out the vote all the way through and sprint all the way through the finish line for the next 6 days. That's my concern. Republicans have the lead. Think of it as a football game at halftime. How often do you watch a football team that played really well in the first half come out and give up a touchdown or turn the ball over to start the second half, and suddenly a game that somebody was in strong control of turns into a really competitive game? That's what I don't want to happen. Pour on more steam. Keep the foot on the proverbial throat. Go ahead and end this game while you can, rather than allowing Democrats to get back into the race. Okay, on top of that, the absolute latest gambling odds. I've been on this for a while. You guys know, in addition to looking at polling and early voting, I would prefer to weigh early voting and also the gambling markets, because when people put their own money down, that to me is more reliable than when people just go off spouting whatever they want on social media. So right now, Trump is up 66.1% to 33.8%, with nearly $3 billion bet on Polymarket. Trump about a 2-to-1 favorite over Kamala Harris right now. That is 66% to 34%. Popular vote, and I think Trump has a real chance, based on the numbers I'm seeing, to win the popular vote. That is still a minority position gambling-wise, with $500 million bet on that. Kamala Harris is a favorite, 60 to 40% to win the popular vote. I actually think Trump is going to win the popular vote. Okay, let's go into those battleground states that I was talking about. Trump is a 74% chance to win North Carolina. That is basically, if you believe Kamala Harris is going to win North Carolina right now, you can go bet on her and get a payout of 3-to-1. Trump is also a 3-to-1 favorite, basically, to win Georgia. That is a 1-to-3 favorite. Kamala Harris is 3-to-1. She's the underdog, 74 to 27%. And in Arizona, Trump is a 75% to 26% favorite. So basically, Trump is a really big favorite in Arizona, in Georgia, in North Carolina. If you think Kamala is going to win any of those states, you can bet and get 3-to-1 odds right now in Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona. Why does this matter? Okay, let's start here with these battlegrounds. If Trump wins Georgia and Trump wins North Carolina, the math is all he needs to do is win Pennsylvania, and it doesn't even matter what happens in Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, or in Arizona, okay? So the math is pretty simple. If Trump wins Georgia, Trump wins North Carolina, and Trump wins Pennsylvania, then he is going to win this race. Now, a couple of other points out there. Other states. Nevada, Trump is up 67% chance to 34% chance for Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania, Trump has continued to create a pretty big lead here, now up 63% to 39% in the state of Pennsylvania. I think, and I've told you this for months, that Kamala Harris is going to deeply come to regret not picking Josh Shapiro as her running mate. You just might have heard Eric Hovde, who's running for the Senate, with us talking about the battleground state of Wisconsin. Trump is a 56% favorite to beat Kamala Harris there. And then the one place where Kamala's momentum has not been bad, Kamala is now a 1% favorite in Michigan, 51% to 50%. Here's the big takeaway from my perspective. Kamala's only route, I believe, to win the presidency is going to be to win Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and the electoral vote in Omaha, Nebraska. If she does that, she gets to 270. Trump would have 268. I think that's her only path. If you guys keep voting, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona for sure, probably Nevada is off the table. Kamala has got to sweep the Big Ten states. So if you're in Michigan, if you're in Pennsylvania, if you are in Wisconsin, Big Ten voters are going to decide this race. If Trump wins any of those three states, he's going to be, in my opinion, the next president of the United States. That is the status of the race as I talk to you right here 6 days out. Now, Joe Biden. Kamala Harris is doing everything she can to avoid campaigning with Joe Biden. She did not allow him to appear at her rally on the Ellipse last night, which is within viewing distance of the Capitol. Of the White House. If you have ever been to D.C., she was on the Ellipse. You can see the White House from where she spoke. Joe Biden was inside the White House doing a interview on Zoom with Vote Latino. And in that interview, he called Trump supporters garbage. So this is his deplorables moment. They've tried to claim, he didn't actually call the supporters garbage. It was supporter comma. Go listen to the audio yourself. He clearly calls Trump supporters garbage. Now, he was trying to draw attention to jokes that were made by a comedian at the Trump rally. And in the place of drawing attention to that, he actually managed to say something far worse. But I think this is really important. Context matters. A comedian making jokes is not the same thing as a politician speaking straightforward, honestly, and directly with the audience. We understand this. People understand context. I talked with you a lot about the jokes that Donald Trump made at the Al Smith rally, the fundraiser for Catholic Charities. There is a roast component to that event, and he made jokes. And the media didn't try to cover those jokes as clearly serious statements. The guy who spoke at the Trump rally makes garbage, made the garbage comment. He does roasts. Now, if you want to argue, this is something where I thought Jon Stewart made a actually intelligent point. If you want to make the argument, why did the Trump team have a roast comedian appearing at the rally at Madison Square Garden? I think you can ask that question, right? Was it the right decision to have a comedian knowing how the media is going to judge you? Was it the right decision to have a comedian performing at the Madison Square Garden rally? That's a fair question. And maybe some people in the Trump team in retrospect are saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have done this. But he's telling jokes. He's trying to entertain the crowd as a roast comedian. He's doing what he does. So the idea that you would try to turn this into some sort of massive scandal when all he's doing is behaving as he typically behaves is a crazy town perspective. But then Biden came along and stepped all in it, not telling jokes, and actually said what is truly the case, I believe, which is Biden believes that Trump voters are garbage. I really do think he believes that. I think Kamala Harris believes it. I think that they believe that Trump supporters are garbage, and I think they just said the quiet part out loud. And by the way, I don't even know that it's anywhere near the equivalent of even calling them Nazis or fascists, which they've also done. And my flip side to you would be, what have Republicans said that's nasty about Democrat voters? I can't even think of anything that has been said that is anywhere near that they're garbage or that they're Nazis or that they're fascist. Certainly people have attacked Kamala and Joe Biden, but I haven't heard very much discussion about their supporters as a large group in months. I haven't really heard those attacks. So, again, I think this is emblematic of a couple of things. One, Joe Biden doesn't have the cognitive ability to still be president. Two, he just has lost his ability to control what he says, and so they're trying to pretend that what he said he didn't actually say, even though it's on video, and I encourage all of you to go watch it. And it was the #1 trending topic in America last night. I want to give credit to a Democrat. Eric Adams, mayor of New York City, has actually spoken out twice recently and said two things that I think are very legitimate. He said it's crazy to call Trump supporters at Madison Square Garden fascist or Nazis. He said that's not true. And he also said it doesn't speak to what most New Yorkers care about in his experience, which is cost of goods, quality of life, economy, border, crime. He's right. Eric Adams, New York City mayor, is right on this. And I have pointed out that I think the charges, the felony charges that were brought against New York City Mayor Eric Adams were political in nature and are garbage, frankly, if you want to use the term garbage. The idea that you'd be charged with a felony for getting an upgrade on a airplane flight, that you'd be charged with a felony for helping a constituent group get approval to be able to open their consulate, these are totally ridiculous charges. And they are emblematic and allied to me in the fact that Mayor Eric Adams has not been a sufficient enough ally of the Democrat Party. And in fact, Eric Adams has spoken out about all of the challenges surrounding the migrant crisis that has arrived in New York City based on all the illegal immigrants that have flooded in and the billions of dollars it has cost New York City's budget to try to take care of all these people flooding into New York City. And if you think about it, the investigation into Mayor Eric Adams really began in earnest, at least in a public manner, as soon as he started criticizing the Biden administration on migrant crime-related issues. Okay, last thing I want to talk about today before I bounce, reminder, tomorrow we will be live. I'll be doing the regular OutKick show, and then we will also have Kelly Stewart. We'll be doing the college football and NFL pick analysis. That is up right now on OutKick. My college football picks are, which have been a mess so far, but I'll be discussing that with Kelly tomorrow. I'll be getting you ready. No Friday show. And then I'll be back with all of you on Monday. But we'll have 2 shows tomorrow. Then I'll be back with you all on Monday. Lots of TV to do, as you can well imagine. Tuesday, we're going to be doing a ton of live things for OutKick and others as the election results come in. So just FYI, be prepared for a great deal of content there. Last night, Yankees won Game 4 to make it a 3-1 series. And look, the bats finally came alive. They performed at a high level, but much of the attention has gone to the fans in the stands who grabbed Mookie Betts' glove, ripped the ball out. They've now been disallowed from being able to attend Yankee games going forward. To me, not acceptable, right? This is a little bit sometimes of a challenging position because the ball can be right on the edge, and if there's no real barrier between the fans and the players, as there often are, as a player reaches into the stands, fans can somehow end up interacting. They can knock the ball away, all these different aspects. Remember, years ago, a kid in the outfield reached out and caught the ball, and it would have probably been an out. Instead, the Yankees were awarded a home run. That kid's now like 30 years old. Look up, Adam, if you would, how long ago that happened and what that kid's story was. But they ended up changing the overall rules of Major League Baseball as a result. And you can actually call an out when someone reaches out onto the field and in some way hinders what would have otherwise been a catch. And if you remember, this was the whole issue with the Steve Bartman story back in the day, was that Bartman tried to catch a foul ball that would have otherwise been catchable by the home team. And the reaction that you saw from the Chicago Cubs, and the Cubs going on to lose that game to the Marlins and lose their opportunity to win a championship, basically Bartman went into hiding and has almost never been seen again since. And it turned into, obviously, a huge viral story in the days before the internet really had the ability to create viral sensations and stars. But I don't think this is a difficult call at all. To me, this is something that these guys should be kicked out. You can't grab a player's glove. You can't attempt to take the ball away from them. And I'm looking up this Yankees fan, by the way. I think his name was Jeffrey Meyer. Do you guys remember this? Jeffrey Meyer, back in the day, this has been a long time ago. I didn't think it was this long ago. Game 1 of the 1996 ALCS between the Yankees and the Orioles. The 12-year-old at the time, Jeffrey Meyer, deflected a batted ball into Yankee Stadium for a home run. Instead of fan interference, altered the course of Game 1, allowed the Yankees to tie the score. They then won later, and Jeffrey Meyer became a celebrity in New York, hated in Baltimore, and he was only 12 years old at the time. So this was all the way back in 1996. A lot of you watching this or listening to this probably were not alive, but that was my immediate flashback to, well, I guess that was, 30 years ago now? Am I right about that? 30 years ago? 30 years ago, my flashback to when I saw the way the Yankees fans behaved in the stadium was that it reminded me of the Jeffrey Meyer incident 30 years ago, except they have since modified the rules to disallow that from becoming a way that the game was changed. But we'll see whether it provides any fuel going forward for the Yankees. The latest is those fans have been banned from Game 5. They know exactly who they are. Austin Copabianco, season ticket holder, John Peter, would not be allowed to go to Game 5. Safety and security of players, fans, and stadium staff, foundational element, Yankees said. And tonight will mark the final home game of the year. We want every ounce of passion, but those guys will not be there. Yankees refunded cost of the tickets. We're hoping for a short-term ban, the guy said. We don't want to lose the season tickets. And again, these guys ripped the ball out of Mookie Betts' glove after a leaping catch in the first inning. And then when it says we lost, it's irrelevant. I'm fine. He's fine. Everything's cool. We lost the game. That's what I'm kind of focused on. And fan interference, the call was made. The catch was made anyway, I think, but fan interference was put into play. Again, a response to the Jeffrey Meyer incident back in the day, for those of you out there who may have forgotten about that. All right. I love all of you. I'll be back tomorrow. Go vote. Go vote, go vote. The early voting numbers continue to be very favorable. Republicans have the lead. Trump has the lead. But do not let up. Power through all the way. 6 more days until the election. I will be back with you guys tomorrow. DBAP unless you need to. SBAP. I am Clay Travis, and this has been OutKick, the show.